On the 21st of September 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a partial mobilization of military reservists in Russia after facing setbacks in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and signed the corresponding decree number 647 on the declaration of partial mobilization in the Russian Federation. The decision was made shortly after the successful Ukrainian counteroffensive in Kharkiv Oblast and a day after the announcement of referendums on the accession of the DPR, LPR, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia Oblasts. In a speech, Putin stated that partial mobilization was suggested to him by the Ministry of Defense and General Staff of the Armed Forces. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced that Russia has a huge mobilization reserve and plans to mobilize 300,000. While reports have emerged that the reservists are being pushed into the conflict without proper training and equipment, these additional men could potentially help the Kremlin to hold ground, which it's been losing at a very fast pace in the last few weeks. To mitigate this, the U.S. seems to have provided specific ammunition for HIMARS, which was not earlier seen on the battlefield. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why the newly provided M30A rocket for HIMARS could lead to catastrophe for Russian forces. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. Use the code DEFENSE at the checkout to get an extra month free for the 2-year plan. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. HIMARS can be fed with many types of rockets, and these have seen changes over time. The first multiple launch rocket system, or MLRS rocket, was the unguided M26 rocket. The M26 is spin-stabilized by 4 fins, has a range of 32 kilometers or 20 miles, and is armed with 644 M77 DPICM, that's dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, anti-personnel, anti-material grenades. The M77 submunitions are dispensed over the target in mid-air, are drag ribbon stabilized during freefall, and detonate on impact. The M26 was first used operationally during Operation Desert Storm in 1991, where it acquired the nickname Steel Rain. M26 was effective on the battlefield, but the downside of this rocket is that it left a lot of small, unexploded bombs on the battlefield, and production is thought to be discontinued. The rocket that Ukraine has used so far in the conflict is the M31. It has a range of 15 to 92 kilometers, that's 9.3 to 57.2 miles, and contains a high-explosive unitary warhead. The warhead is produced by General Dynamics and contains 51 pounds, or 23 kilograms, of PBX-109 high explosive in a steel blast fragmentation case. The M31 single warhead with high destructive power is optimized for taking out important targets like command and control centers. GPS guidance makes it accurate. The downside is that it only has an impact in a relatively small area. The M30A is different. It contains up to 182,000 pieces of steel core, enough to destroy a large area with 4 football fields. It's developed to fill the gap of M26. Entered production in 2015, this warhead is superior not just because it doesn't use cluster munitions, but is also superior to a normal high-explosive round. A high-explosive round is very impressive because it produces a big bomb and large pieces of shrapnel, but this round is small pellets and covers a much larger area. Contractor Lockheed Martin called the rocket the first rocket that can hit a target over a large area without leaving behind unexploded ordnance. HIMARS has been shown to be an effective weapon to help the Ukrainian army in its current conflict with Russia. Given the fact a single HIMARS can launch 6 M30A rockets simultaneously, and these can be made to explode at high altitudes, makes M30A particularly effective against infantry troops. M30A rocket-armed HIMARS is a perfect weapon to counter human sea tactics that the Kremlin seems to be preparing to use, in which a large number of reservists will be pushed to the front line in an attempt to literally swamp the Ukrainian forces. It's to be noted that the US has just decided to transfer 4 more HIMARS rocket artillery to Ukraine. The die is cast for Russia's new recruits, and a very high casualty rate could be witnessed in the coming days. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.